Is that MTG?
Yo,
It's
MTGBert.
MTGBert. Yo, it's MTGBert.
It's MTGBert. What's up, Commander players? It's MTGBert back to showcase another deck in my personal collection. This time, we're talking about my Phabine, Boss's Confidant deck. I want to thank Wizards for making me an official MTG ambassador for the set of Tarkir Dragonstorm. We have some new toys from the set included in the deck, so with that, this token collective is ready to show their strength. Let's talk about the deck. Phabine Boss's Confidant is a legendary 3/6 cat advisor that costs 3 generic, a red, a green, and a white, and Phabine states, creature tokens you control have haste. Parlay. At the beginning of combat on your turn, each player reveals the top card of their library. For each land revealed this way, you create a 1/1 green and white citizen. Then, creatures you control get +1/+1 until end of turn for each non-land revealed this way. Then each player draws a card. Phabine's Parlay ability intrigued me so much that I had to build her. Now, it has been one of my favorite color combinations since I started playing Magic, and tokens is one of my favorite archetypes of all times, making Phabine perfect for me. With this in mind, let's go over Phabine's overall gameplay loop. Our gameplay loop this time around is as follows. Create tokens early and often via Phabine's ability and other means to swarm our opponents with buffed creatures. It's a straightforward game plan, so let's jump into the cards that will make it happen, starting with ramp. With Phabine costing 6 mana, we're going to need some good ramp at our disposal. I've opted for some of our ramp to be creature based, as it allows mana dorks to have the possibility of being aggressive later in the game. Some creatures in question are going to be Delighted Halfling, Jiraga Tree Speaker, Leafkin Druid, and Twitching Doll when it comes to mana dorks, then Sakura Tribe Elder, Wood Elves, Nature's Lore, 3 Visits, Skyshroud Claim, Harvest Season, and Soul Ring. This suite of ramp makes our mid to late game super explosive and eases up those mana choke points that are easy to hit when your commander costs a bit more than average. One card I wanted to specifically mention that has some amazing synergy with Phabine is Awakening the Woods. Making some Forest Dryads with haste means that we get an immediate return on our investment. These drives can be used for offense or utility purposes. With ramp out of the way, let's see how the token collective keeps our hand full of threats and answers with some card draw. Card draw is always important, but when playing decks like this that can overextend easily, it is extremely vital to be able to refill our hand. One of the cards that does this exceptionally well, and was actually included in their original precon, is Benny Brax, Zoologist. Drawing a card every turn with this is the goal, but that's the ceiling. Floor is just drawing a card at the end of our turn. This card even has Convoke, giving it the ability to be cast for a discounted rate or for completely free. Another card that falls into the category of providing both consistent card advantage and card draw is Rumor Gatherer. This is a powerful card possessing the Alliance ability, which triggers whenever a creature enters. We scry each time a creature enters except for the second time this ability triggers. This will have us knowing what is on top of our deck, giving us the ability to shift things around for a chance to get the effect we want from a Phabine. Audience with Tristani is another card that deserves some spotlight. I'm playing this card as it has an amazing ceiling, but the floor is pretty bad, only drawing 1 card. But I see this card is definitely worth playing. Some other card draw options at our disposal are going to be Welcoming Vampire, Over the Frostfang, Shamanic Revelation, Valakut Awakening, Skull Clamp, Idol of Oblivion, and the Bird Approved Staff of the Storyteller. That's it for the card draw, so let's get into our last vegetable, removal. A removal category has a lot of answers for every situation. Our sweepers this time around are going to be Final Showdown, Austere Command, and Winds of Abandon. All 3 have different modal aspects, but in their true nature, they're just bullet birds. Final Showdown can be used offensively and defensively, while Winds of Abandon can be used as single target removal or overloaded to rid the board of all our opponent's creatures. Austere Command is just good, letting us choose what we get to keep. Also on our list for removal is going to be Unexplained Absence. This can hit a non-land for each player, which makes it a good political piece as well as a great removal. We also have the iconic duo Swords to Plowshares and Path to Exile to get rid of any creature that's too tough for us to run over. Lastly, a piece of removal that I found myself enjoying lately is Witch Enchanter. Having the flexibility to be used as a land makes it feel like there's always something to be done with this card. Alright, with the vegetables out of the way, it's time for my favorite section, the spice. These are cards that I love to see during a game, and I always feel like they're pulling their weight. First spice pick is going to be a favorite card of mine, and it's none other than Queen All-in-All of Rodot. While it isn't a straight up token doubler, Queen All-in-All has a Chatterfang-like ability that gives us an additional token anytime we make one. In a deck like this, where we have tons of instances of token generation, Queen All-in-All is a slam dunk. She's going to be a huge creature that our opponents is going to have to chump block until they have no more creatures. This is a great card, and if you've never heard of it, you should definitely try it out. Our next spice pick is a fun card to say, and that's Jacked Rabbit. This little gem has Ravenous, so we can put counters on it as it comes in by paying extra mana, and even draw a card if the X value is 5 or more. This is a perfect card for Phabine, as Jacked Rabbit cares about its power as it attacks, which will be buffed by Phabine before it attacks. This is not only a fun card, but a good one as well. Continuing with the rabbit theme, we have Season of the Burrow. I love most of this cycle, and this card is no exception. We can choose 3 modes. Create a rabbit for 1 paw print, exile target non-land permanent and have its controller draw a card for 2 paw prints, or return target permanent card with mana value 3 or less from our graveyard to the battlefield with an indestructible counter for 3 paw prints. Flexibility is one of my favorite things on a card, and this can do it all. Token generation, removal, resilience, all built into one card. You love to see it. Will of the Mardu feels like a weird card to play in a Naya deck, but this card is so good, I don't even mind. Being able to target whichever player is ahead with the mode that lets you create warriors was enough, but then if we control Phabine, we get to deal damage to a creature equal to the number of creatures we control, which, spoiler, is going to be a lot. Love this edition, can't wait to cast it more. The last pick, also from the new set, will be no stranger to token decks in the coming future. We have Elspeth, Stormslayer. She possesses a powerful static ability, doubling token generators, and still has powerful activated abilities as well. We can create tokens, buff the squad, or remove a creature with mana value 3 or greater. This card is great and will be a great inclusion. Alright y'all, it's time for Burst Breakdown, where I go over anecdotes, overperformers, possible underperformers, deck speed, and deck resilience. So, Phabine has been a deck that I have enjoyed for the last few months. I feel like I built this deck around November, so it has been in my stable since then. I've played quite a few games with it, and it wins quite often. Some problems that we have are the mana choke points that I mentioned earlier. Phabine dies going from 6 to 8 to 10 is kind of a lot. But let's talk about some overperformers in the deck, shall we? So, like I said, mana is a very important part of this deck, and it gives me a reason to play one of my favorite planeswalkers, Xenagos the Reveler. Xenagos the Reveler is a planeswalker for 2 generic and a red and a green for 3 loyalty planeswalker. His +1 is the only one we're going to talk about right now. So his +1 is add mana of any combination of red and or green to your mana pool where X is the number of creatures you control. Add X mana is really powerful. We're going to have a lot of creatures. It's just going to be a lot of mana. A lot of our stuff, I believe, is mostly white, but having that red and that green can take care of the generic cost, and we just keep our white mana up. Most of our mana base is going to be in plains, and so having this alleviates that choke point of making this mana. So if we make, say, 6 mana, it's easier to cast Phavine and we just need 1 white, which is going to be easy to do. I've already mentioned Jacked Rabbit, but let's talk about another card that makes tokens, not necessarily based on power. Twitching Doll is actually a really good card. I think it might get overlooked in the grand scheme of things, but it's a mana dork that rewards you for how long you use it. So early game, it's a mana dork. You put the nest counters on it, I believe. And then after you feel like you have enough nest counters, you can sacrifice it and then create a 2/2 spider with reach for each nest counter on it. You can only do that as a sorcery, but that's not really a downside, because we want to, our creature tokens have haste, so we want to create those and then attack with them that same turn. Angel of Invention is a card that I'm trying out. I definitely love this card, so I might just be high on it in general. But Angel of Invention gives our team +1/+1 and gives us the ability to make 2 more dudes. So the 2 more creatures are going to have haste, and they're going to get buffed by Phabine as well. So it's just doing kind of double duty. And this goes into the buff that I like to have. So whenever I have buffed creatures, I love to include Kutzel, Malmetic Centaur. This is just a great card. It shuts down, it makes your opponents do stuff on other people's turns, and well, cast spells anyway. They can't cast spells during your turn. And then when a buffed creature hits an opponent, you draw a card. So it's good. This is a good source of card draw and just gets us what we need. Another card that I feel like has overperformed is Benevolent Offering. It's a little bit expensive for what it does. So Benevolent Offering is 4 mana, and for an instant, choose an opponent. You and that player each put 3 1/1 white spirit creature tokens with flying onto the battlefield, which is really good. Those are going to have haste, and then the second ability is really why I'm playing it. Choose an opponent. You gain 2 life for each creature you control, and that player gains 2 life for each creature they control. So in aggro decks, we end up tapping out a lot. Though I don't typically attack with Phabine. I can. But what that means is a lot of time my stuff is hacked and I'm getting attacked and I'm open. So what that means is I need a way to gain life. So Benevolent Offering gives me that way because I'm going to have a ton of creatures. I've had upwards of 40 life gain for this. That was a very wild game, which I can talk about later, but 40 life from Benevolent Offering, and I've even had it as low as like the 6 life from, because you get the spirits first and then you can get the life. So it's really good in my opinion, and just gives us something to do. Staff of the Storyteller is just a card I'm really high on, y'all. If it's bad, just let me know. It's not. I think Staff of the Storyteller is just a really good card. Consistent card draw is really good, as it flies under the radar a lot of the times. So just Idol of Oblivion, Staff of the Storyteller, Benny Brax, all those things that just draw us instances of card draw are really good. Now, one card that I feel like is underperforming right now is going to be Primeval Bounty. In this particular deck, I don't feel like, I usually play it in like mid-range and control decks to use it as a piece to get me back up. But I feel like this is more of an aggressive deck where I want my 6 mana slots to be threats, not value pieces. So this being just a general value piece, so Primeval Bounty is a 6 mana, 5 and a green enchantment. Whenever you cast a creature spell, make a 3/3 beast token, which is really good. We have a grand total of 26 creatures, so that's a healthy number of creatures. Whenever you cast a non-creature spell, put 3 counters on target creature you control. Also good, but not... I just don't... Phabine is already buffing our squad, so I don't know if we need that extra beam. And then Landfall, when the land enters under your control, you gain 3 life. Again, I was playing it for the beast token and then the landfall trigger to gain the 3 life, but I feel like this could be something else, so I think I might have just convinced myself to take this out, as it hasn't been that great in an aggressive deck. One last card that is definitely overperformed is definitely going to be Grand Crescendo. I feel like the demand for this card has definitely gone up over the years. So Grand Crescendo is X white white for an instant. Create X 1/1 green and white citizen creature tokens. Creatures you control gain indestructible until end of turn. This card is just a really good protection piece, which we have a couple of. We have like 3 good protection pieces. So Grand Crescendo, Teferi's Protection, and Clever Concealment all protect our board, which is going to be really important when you're in an aggro deck. But this deck also is pretty resilient. But those 3 cards gives us ability to protect our board, which is really important in an aggro deck. Alright, so that's Bert's breakdown. Let's go into Bert's bench, where I talk about some cards that haven't quite made the list. I'm going to start with both Gallagreeters and Roseroom Treasure. These also have Alliance, just like the card I mentioned earlier, Rumor Gatherer. But these 2 have a limit on how many times they can trigger. Gallagreeter 3 times per turn, Roseroom Treasure 3 times per turn. Gallagreeters, you have to choose a different mode, which isn't necessarily what we want to do. We can either gain that life, put a counter on it, and get a tap treasure token, which all 3 modes aren't really relevant to us all the time. And then Roseroom Treasurer, which has sweet triggers, which makes treasures on the first 2, and you can pay mana to deal damage to any target on the 3rd trigger. I just feel like both of these don't really do a good job in this particular deck, where I can make a ton of tokens per turn. So getting those 3 triggers, Roseroom Treasure I actually tried out, and I found that I was ecstatic to get the first 2 triggers, and then the last trigger I was just like, okay, I mean, I'm probably not going to pay mana into it, but that's fine. Gallagreeters was kind of similar. Like, I wanted the tap treasure all the time, but you have to choose a different mode. So those 2 don't really work for me in this deck. Next, speaking of not working in this deck, I have a feeling that Annie Joins Up wouldn't work like I want it to. I have 3 legendary creatures that have triggered abilities. That's going to be Phabine herself, Adelan, and Benny Brax. So having only 3 creatures that go along, even though 1 is my commander, the 5 damage on ETB is nice, but I don't think it'll have any longevity in the deck unless I add more legendary creatures with triggered abilities. And then last but not least, we have Tempt with Bunnies. I love this card, but I feel like no one's going to be tempted. I feel like the draw card is very, actually, like, with lack of better terms, tempting, because sometimes people can be stuck on lands. They can, like, there's political aspects to this card for drawing that card. But when people remember that Phavine gives your creature tokens not only haste, but a buff as well, I don't think they're going to give me that creature. And even if they do give me that creature, they can just block it with the one I gave them. So unless I have like a token doubler out, they're gonna lose it, but I'm giving them a blocker for my card, so I'm not really interested in doing that. So yeah, those are 5 cards that quite didn't make the cut for Phabine. If you have any suggestions, please put those in the comments below. But now we'll go into the bracket system and my personal grade for the deck. According to the bracket system, this deck is a 3 as it includes 2 game changers, Ancient Tomb and Smothering Tithe. Smothering Tithe is really good when you're forcing your opponents to draw cards, and Ancient Tomb serves as a bit more mana acceleration. Besides that, there's no mass land denial, extra turns, tutors, or 2-card combos. As always, I give my deck a grade based on not only how it performs, but generally how I feel about the gameplay and feel of the deck. S means I love the deck and its gameplay loop, and I feel that the cards have all solidified in their place. A means I love the deck and the gameplay loop, but the cards can be swapped out or changed to improve either the fun or the power level. B means I love the idea of the deck, but the gameplay loop is a bit unfamiliar or missing a certain element. Or C, I'm mid on the deck and the gameplay loop hasn't excited me like my favorite decks do. Phavine is a good deck. but I haven't found the secret sauce that makes me want to keep coming back to it. So right now, Phavine gets a B in its current interaction, and as my reps with the deck go up, I'm sure morale will improve. Well, here we have another deck in my personal collection, and I want to hear what y'all think. Have you seen this commander before? What are some cards that you have in your Phabine? What are some changes that you will make to mine? Moxfield link in the description. If you dug this video, give it a thumbs up, hit subscribe for more content. Thanks for watching, and until next time, take care.